Hello and welcome back to my series of videos on running Frog God Games The Blight, specifically the Levee adventure path. In this video, I'm going to talk about politics within the city. Of the videos that I'm running, this is the one that connects not as much to the AP, but is more stuff happening in the background. If you choose to run an Act 2 after the adventure path is done, this stuff might become more important, especially if you decide to use some of the stuff I'm talking about in these videos. So the book does a decent job of describing the politics of the city, especially amongst the lower level politics. Talking about politics within districts, the city watch, local leaders, things like that. The author clearly wanted to detail all the stuff the PCs were most likely to come in contact with, when playing within the setting. Something I think worth just pointing out again, this is a 900-page book. This is the equivalent of probably 4, 5 Wizards of the Coast books, all crammed into one. So there is a lot of information in here. So when it comes to politics within the city, they did a good job of sort of detailing a lot of the lower level stuff, but the upper level stuff, in some cases it was detailed, in some cases it was left very vague. There's a lot of reasons why they may have done that. One, they didn't think players would really come in contact with a lot of this stuff, so they just didn't want to dedicate more pages. They were already up to 900 pages. What were they going to do? Make it a 1,000+ page book? So it could have been something like that. It could be that they didn't want to detail some of this stuff. Because they wanted to leave it to the GM to decide what they wanted this to actually look like. So there are certain things that are left vague that I'm going to talk about. And I haven't necessarily detailed it all myself either, because I'm also not sure how important this is going to be and, how deeply my PCs are going to get involved with this stuff just yet. So, it's possible I might do a follow-up video at some point down the line once my players are there, and I can talk about how I actually ended up approaching all this stuff. So let me actually sort of jump into sort of what's actually in the book. So one of the things they start talking about right from the very beginning is Demorial. She's a devil. She seems to be the power behind the city. She's the de facto ruler of the city, even though nobody knows it. Because she's got her fingers into everything, controlling. It seems like she's got some controlling influences with the royal family. She's got some controlling influences with the Illuminati. She's got some controlling influences with the crown justices. With Beltane, the leader of the Fetch. She's got controlling influences all throughout the city, and I'm sure she's got even more that the book doesn't even talk about. So she seems to have weaved the web, and she seems to be pulling all the strings. I mentioned in the video on religion that she was also the former Queen of Hell. She ruled alongside Lucifer. So this sort of begs the question, is she the one in charge, or is Lucifer the one in charge? I don't know. One of the things that they talk about a lot in the book is the influence that the Great Coven and the cult or Church of Lucifer seems to have amongst the higher families within the aristocracy. So many of the family members of the different ruling families, all have connections to Lucifer in some form or another, either through the Coven or through the Church or cult of Lucifer. So one could argue that the Church or the Coven are the ones really in charge of the city. With Demorial being the leader of the Coven and the Church. Not directly, but through influencing their leadership. So it makes you wonder. Because one of the things that they have hinted at is that the royal family, they're sort of figureheads. Yeah, they have some power, but they don't really control the city. It's the crown justices who control the city, all within their specific spheres of influences. One crown justice, I think, controls the military. Another crown justice controls imports, exports, and a lot of the financial things within the city. So the crown justices all seem to control the different major slices of sort of how the city actually runs. So they wield probably even more power than the crown justices, than the royal family, rather. So, so there's a question of how much the royals are actually in charge. Then there's this whole weird thing going on with Queen Alice and Princess Alicia. With Queen Alice, falling ill, and Princess Alicia seeming to have some kind of, almost evil, sort of demonic, or, sort of something is influencing her, which, why? It wouldn't be a complete shock if this was Demorial's work. And it's the Coven and the Church of Lucifer who are actually controlling her or having some sort of influence on her. So, then maybe they're planning on getting rid of the queen and putting, Princess Alicia into place as the new queen, who they now directly control. They don't actually say that in the book, but it's, it wouldn't be far-fetched to sort of jump to that conclusion based on what's actually written there. So this is one of the blanks that they left, that they leave open for the GM to sort of figure out what they want that to be. So for this GM, I think, I think the queen had her with help from the Coven. And the Coven now directly controls the princess. And so they're planning on elevating her to queen at some point. And so they're now going to have direct control over the royalty. So you've got that weird stuff going on with the royal family. Another sort of aspect of the politics of the city is, and this is hinted at a lot throughout the book, is this mysterious group called the Illuminati. The book never says who they are. They never say who's a member of the Illuminati. They never say what their motivations are, just that they exist and that they control things. So there's a lot of different ways you can go with this. You can create your own Illuminati with their own influences and motivations and all that stuff. I'm assuming the authors never expected the player characters to become involved with the Illuminati. And just never detailed it. And this is sort of the route that I'm leaning towards at the moment. I'm not sure if this is exactly what I'm going to do, but this is where I'm leaning. I'm wondering if the Illuminati actually exist. I wonder if the Illuminati actually is Demorial. And, and the Illuminati are all of her, different aliases and people she controls directly. I think she actually has some succubi who have replaced people within the city. And so part of me wonders if the Illuminati is actually just the smokescreen for Demorial. And the Illuminati is actually her different aliases and agents throughout the city who do things on her behalf. The book doesn't say that, but the book doesn't also say who the Illuminati actually are. So that's where I'm leaning at the moment, that the Illuminati don't actually exist. And, the idea of the Illuminati is just an instrument that Demorial uses to control the city. So these are politics in a nutshell within the city. It may or may not be important for you. If you're running just the AP, it probably won't be important at all. The players don't really ever operate at that level. You might decide to do some sort of side quests or have other things happening during the AP on the side that might bring this stuff more to the forefront for them. So this might be helpful for you. If you decide to do an Act 2, like I said, this stuff might become very important. Because if you are, now members of the Revolution, you're going to be fighting against a lot of this stuff. And so sort of having an idea of how it works will become much more pivotal. So this is politics in a nutshell. I've got one video left after this, and it's basically how I started running this campaign and just some stuff I've decided to emphasize. and just my general thoughts on running it so far. And that'll be my next and at least final video, at least at this point. So I'll see y'all then.